Zoey Carr, who's a wonderful peer colleague of mine. I'd like to do a little intro for Zoey. Zoey has been working very, very hard at Finding North Network for Mental Illness Fellowship Australia. Really project managing this network, and this e-symposium is part of what Zoey does, and is part of some funding as part of that network. Zoey identifies as an Asian Australian with a lived experience of distress, service use, illness, diagnoses, and all of the things that we identify as lived and living experience. And Zoey is newer to an identified lived experience peer role than some of us, and has really jumped in expertly, because she has a very interesting background which enables her to do some of the management and project leading work that she does. So Zoey has a large background in education, technology and change management, and brings lots of other cultural perspectives to her work as well. I'm not sure where to stop, Zoey, because it's just, I could talk about you for ages, because since I've met you, I just think you have really, it just jumped in with such passion and such ability to stretch your mind out of your previous comfort zone, because you really have had enormous challenges in all ways, and we're so proud of you, and we are so excited to have you in our last session today. And so what Zoey and I are going to chat about is the I clearly can't say FNN, so I'm going to do long version, Finding North Network, which weirdly is easier for me to say than. And thank you for all the laughing emojis. I've got some guesses as to who that might be. I think I've got a couple of friends in the audience. I can't say I can't say FNN. Zoey, come in and rescue me, please.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
I clearly can't even say the name of the thing that we have been working on for a year. So I'm going to let you introduce how you came into this and how you started setting up and what your visions were for the network.
Of course, thank you so much. So Finding North Network, it's an initiative by Mental Illness Fellowship of Australia, and we're a advocacy and policy not-for-profit as well. So what we've done with Finding North Network, it's that our vision was to create a community of practice for people who identify with having a living or lived experience. We have all these amazing work nationally, and we talk with our peers all over Australia. Somehow we seem to have lots and lots of different networks, but we're never together except on these conferences, for example. And so we decided to create a platform where anyone with the lived experience can join this network and engage on the platform. I think the vision for this particular project and this network is to allow anyone to be able to peer and use their voice at any time and share with people who are interested in this vision and the movement, to learn from each other. So, you know, I think the beauty about this network is that you can also participate and engage as much as you can or as little as you want. You can also come into the network completely de-identified and also just browse at everyone else's comments as well. So this is a knowledge sharing platform. You can talk to peers and you can learn and you can ask questions as well.
Yeah, and you can learn how to say FNN.
SNN, FNN, FNN.
FFNN. Do you know, I even tried to rehearse that this morning in the bathroom. I've got this block. I just can't say I can't say it fast, but I have the same thing with scraggled eggs. I can't say scraggled eggs. Apparently that's not how you say scraggled egg. So look, Zoey, that was a really great roundup of what you created, and I thought maybe you could chat a bit about what we've seen in the network, and also some of, because we had an advisory body committee board, because I only stepped in, I think, a few months after you had all this was happening, and I thought, wow, this looks like a fantastic space. And maybe before we start this conversation, I'd just like to say that I've seen a few spaces that were attempting to be sort of were innovative that maybe didn't work as well. And there's obviously things like Facebook groups or chat boards, and there are sort of online learning courses that have chat boards attached. You know, there are places we can go as peers to chat. But I think what the Finding North Network has done, and what MIFA has done, I'm really ambitious for it. Like, I find it really innovative, and I'm really ambitious for where it can go, because it's already got so much potential and so many tabs happening and things happening. So what sorts of things have you seen so far that are interesting, that you might expand, or what can you say about some of the members that have actually come to focus groups and contributed? Tell us. I don't want to talk too much because I really feel talked out, but tell us a bit about that.
Sure. So the network originally started with the basic settings. So basically the live feed, place for you to message, some groups. And what we ended up doing is we actually started inviting a lot of lived experience leaders in, and they were really thankful we are very thankful for them to actually work with us and tested the platform with us. And so we ended up adding more and more requirements and different tools on it. So what we've now got, we've expanded. So we've got opportunities, we've got events. So we as a team would always look for amazing opportunities nationally and post it on and try to get it on in one place. We often get emails from different organizations and get the opportunities, but we wanted to make sure that we've got national lived experience opportunities in there as well. We have a new tool which is called Portfolio. During the focus groups in the last couple of months, a lot of our members have expressed how much they love their work and how much they want to share that work with all these people on the network, whether it is photography, whether it is art, whether it is poems, whether it is sharing their lived experience stories. So now we have that functionality where everyone can actually add in their portfolio, so they can share their entries, they can share their artwork, and however that they want to. And so when we're feeling maybe when we're feeling a bit of lack of energy or anything like that, you can go in and you can just see everyone's wonderful work, and that's what we really want it to continue to be. Our focus group has really given us a lot of continuous feedback, and we really appreciate that. And we take that on board continuously with our external evaluator. And one of the things have recently been coming up, and we might introduce this later down the track, is probably possibly mentoring, for example. So the platform is completely white labeled. So what that means is it can continuously change depending on what the members want. And so we rely on the surveys, and we ask these questions on the network. And so if you are currently on the network and you're playing with it and you have any feedback for us, please let us know. This network has just hit its 1 year anniversary, and we really rely and depend and appreciate your feedback. We are continuously learning, just like this e-symposium is the very first time we're running it, and we're learning, and we'll need your support and feedback.
Yeah. Oh, I was just about to say, oh, can I be the first one to say it's a year old? And you just stole my thunder. No, it's great. It is. It's new. It's not even at embedding stage. It's at establishing stage. So super exciting. That was a great explanation of some of the journey of it. And I'd like to reflect on some of my experience with it. I'm a member, and it was introduced to me, and I thought, oh, this is interesting. And then I've joined some of your advisory bodies, but I'm on there all the time. I love looking at the posts that go up. Some of them are just mind-blowing, the comments and conversations. And even though there are vastly differing perspectives, they're just so embraced and so welcomed. People seem to just accept and embrace there's great peerness. That's what I'm saying, is that it is our space and it is what we make it as peers. And as you've just said, Zoe, it is white label. It's a dynamic. As you say, you can change and adjust things, and I have seen that. I've heard from focus groups that people have suggested X, Y, and boom, there it goes. You're helping with your technical background to create the space that your members are asking you for. So that's really community facing, isn't it? And it is very connecting, and that is, really being directed by the community. And I think the potential for it is wonderful. There are those fantastic opportunities segments, as you were saying. There are lived experience opportunities from around Australia that will go into that tab. You can find jobs, conferences, opportunities to be involved in research initiatives, paid, unpaid, voluntary, long-term, short-term, maybe even media engagements and all sorts of things. There's a really, really informative space as well, because there's lots of I think you put a lot of notices up that I see of the newsletters. So if you're ever one of those people that gets a bit, you're getting emails from 5, 6, 7, 8 plus different organisations looking at opportunities, finding North Network is great with its capability, because they can all go into one place. So it doesn't matter what organisation, national, state, which you try and put up everything that you've got, don't you, Zoe? It is, it's brilliant, and I do think the conversations are amazing. And I'm glad that you talked about the members' portfolio. I know that essentially has always been there, but you've really souped it up in the last couple of weeks. We can put lots of stuff in there now. I had a little poodle around with that.
Absolutely.
The other day, and it's I honestly, if anyone is watching this now recording and you're not on there, yeah, FOMO, I would say you should have a FOMO, because you should be fearful of missing out. It is, I think it's going to grow and grow and grow. I'd like you to talk a bit more, Zoe. I need a drink.
Absolutely. I think aside from the opportunities, the platform, anyone who joins has to have identifies having a living experience, because we want to make sure that this is a community where we can share. We respect, we acknowledge our carers and anyone else and our allies, but this space was created specifically for us and us only. Is not to say that it might not be expanded down the track, but that is something that will be negotiated if it even comes up within the community. In terms of opportunities, anyone who gets into the platform will have access to add their own. So if you want to add your own website, your news, your opportunities, just to add into the collection, because we're a small team over here, you have that opportunity to do that. Otherwise, you can always just send us an email and we can also just add that in as well. Aside from opportunities, I think it's really important to let everyone know that within Finding North Network, we have our own opportunities. So depending on the level of experience and what you actually want to get, or how to build your personal lived experience leadership, we can also support you with that. Whether it is, we have a series called Finding My North series, which is a series of everyone sharing their personal lived experience stories as well. And it's really an opportunity for those who may not feel ready yet to have a supportive environment. So having the option to just record and share your story, or you simply actually do that story and then delete it and not share with anybody, it's an opportunity for you to see and check whether or not you're ready. I personally shared mine for a very first time, and I shared it in a very safe environment, and I actually didn't share it publicly because it was not something I was comfortable with. But there are lots of other opportunities, and if we can promote your lived experience, organizations, your projects, or we can support you to on your journey, message us and we will work with you to support you.
Yeah, thanks for highlighting that, Zoe, because I was going to be mindful to mention that too, that it is a a very supportive space. So if you are someone with lived experience who is also into peer work, and you were doing things and projects that you really wanted to promote, or you just wanted to practice speaking, or you wanted to practice or show someone a PowerPoint, maybe in a closed group, and get feedback, or it's so many opportunities for different things to just grow, to practice conversation, or just to connect, just connect with other peers, whether they're peer workers or people of lived experience. It's not just for just lived experience or just peer workers. It's just anyone of lived experience, and there's so many opportunities. Do you know what we didn't mention, Zoe, yet? Because I think we've only got about 10 minutes or so. There's the library type functions, and there are groups. So when you go into the network, you can look across your tabs, and there's lovely groups there where people can group together for similar topics that they might want to share conversation on, or files on. Or I wanted to start a madness corner, because I'm aligned with MAD studies and that area of academia, and there was some interest there. I think there's only a few people in there, and I haven't lots of things on the to-do list, Zoe, but the things are created. You just have to go in and organically do things. It is really everybody's space. I said, hey, could we have a madness section, and we could have a closed group if people are ready to see some of that stuff. And I went in the next day, and Zoe's put it there. I'm like, oh, yeah. I didn't think that would happen so quickly. So lots of opportunities. And maybe we should mention there's the app, because there's an app as well. You don't have to do everything on computer. You can just have it on your phone and log in. That's a wonderful app as well.
Yeah, so I think the opportunity is there, and if you ever go into the platform and you want a different group, we all know that whilst we can connect to all of us and our lived experiences, we share similarities, but we are also different as well, and we can connect in different spaces as well. So, if you want to create another group because you feel more comfortable about one specific topic within lived experience or other things, feel free to message us. You can direct message us, you can send us an email, and we'll take that on board. The actual mobile app is available on Android and Apple as well, so you can download that as well. So if you ever try to look for the actual app, you'll see that Finding North Star up here, that way, and it's a bright blue, and also to just let us know as well. The current app, while it's quite useful, we're continuously improving and working with the platform makers to make it a better user, to increase its user experiences. So it might not be as smooth as some of the newer apps, but we're working on it as well. But what I really want to highlight is that our objective is to continue Perspectives 2023, Perspectives 2024, because today is the day for our wonderful lived experience peers. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank every single one of our amazing speakers. It takes a lot, at least, and I'm sure everyone will agree, it takes a lot of heart and generosity to share their wonderful, some of them are heartbreaking, yet courageous and beautiful stories to everyone. And I hope that anyone who watches, and I'm sure that anyone who watches today will feel the same and appreciate their kindness.
Absolutely, yeah. And what a fantastic space this couple of days has been. What a fantastic space the Finding North Network, the platform is, and what a fantastic space I think we're going to evolve into. I would like to thank you, Zoe, and all of the I'm going to try again, the FNN for being, I did it at the end of day 2. FNN for being really supportive of me, because obviously I'm in the middle of launching Warren Academy, and you guys have just been so wonderful to me. And we were going to mention, as agreed earlier, that I do have a course for mental health service users self-advocacy, and there is a free mini version of that course that you can access. So you'll see a link in the lobby when you shoot out in a minute. when you get expelled, whether this is going to happen at the end, or just come to my website. There is a free course for you there. But any of you watching, if you have articles you've written, blogs you've written, art that you have done, creative projects that you've done, you've appeared on radio or TV, or you've made a video, come to the network, put it there. It will be celebrated and supportive. Yeah, please come and join us. And maybe a final reminder, Zoe, they can connect with all our speakers, can't they? They can come and put their questions in. You can chat with people you've heard from today and connect with us.
Absolutely. So I just want to remind everybody that you can choose your level of identity, how much to show. So when you first join the network, it will only be your first name and the first letter of your last name. And you can share as much or as little details. You can hide all the details from the actual platform. So if you just want to go in and roam around, or if you want to be engaged and talk to everybody, you have that as well.
Yeah. I think we've covered most of our discussion. We've done that really organically. I love that. It's fantastic. I love chatting with you, Zoe. We've done a lot of this, haven't we? Videos of us all over the place. It's been lovely. I've had a really lovely time. And what we're going to do, everyone, is we're going to stay in this virtual room, and I'm just going to do a closing little section now, reflection. Zoe's waving, so we'll let Zoe really wants to turn the camera off, and I will sort of do a little closing, few thoughts and reflections for you if you're hanging on to the very end. I hope a lot of you are. So I had a couple of points that I think were really worth reiterating for our closing segment. And the first is that we can all be leaders at any level that we choose, if we believe that we're leaders, and if we commit to it with authenticity, and through that lens of service, which has been mentioned a couple of times during this symposium. And perspectives are something that we arrive at through various means, and some of those means, some of those journeys to our perspective have been questioned and explored robustly. Sometimes we look at our perspectives and we can explore and question them superficially, and sometimes we don't at all. We just all have different experiences of how we've arrived at a viewpoint, at a perspective. Anna's presentation discussed foundation and integration as a way, as a key part of building clarity. We need knowledge and clarity to be able to trust our perspective and then to share it as effectively as we can. We've heard Faye Jackson, our keynote, lived experience keynote from day one, state that she chooses not to use medical terminology, and encouraging us to consider our use of it, because there are implications to using it. And I hold the same field of perspectives as Faye, and the survivor movement sentiment that a lot of our known giants of the lived experience sector and advocacy and activism usually align with. Survivor movement is a different thing, really, to the consumer movement. So, for example, my perspective would be that I wouldn't identify with the word consumer. I find the word oppressive, and I don't particularly even like the term mental health, because I find that equally coercive, and I don't like binary constructions. So we all have our own views and we all have our own perspectives. My chosen and develop my chosen framework of understanding distress, or my distress, is not a biodeterminist one. That doesn't mean that it's right and it's right for anyone else. We have to have our own truth, and our own perspective is our truth. So I do share perspectives of there's always a blend, and I share a lot of Faye's perspective and a widely held perspective in some very progressive pockets of the lived experience workforces. And I think that those types of perspectives are filtering more and more into mainstream, and there are reasons for that, especially in the IT age, and especially since COVID, but it's been going on for about 10 years. There are more progressive views, and what some people call alternative views, I prefer to use the word progressive. They are filtering into our mainstream mental well-being arenas, and it is lovely, because now we're getting diversity of voices being a little more apparent and evident and visible. And this couple of days has been fantastic for hearing very different people, very different stories, and all meaningful and insightful. So it has been a wonderful, wonderful experiences. Our perspectives are integral to our identity. And, excuse me, I was going to try and get through without coughing. Our perspective is integral to our identity, and we're entitled to self-define, not just self-actualize, but we're entitled to self-define our identity and not have that handed to us on a plate by a dominant discourse or dominant framework of understanding, or handed to us by a marginalized one, even at that. So I choose what holds meaning for me. You choose what holds meaning for you. How Faye's statement on terminology could be unpacked is that we can ask ourselves about our own perspectives and our own leadership. And we can ask ourselves, when we say things like, I have a mental illness, I am disordered, I must try to be medication compliant, or my treatment works for me, or doesn't, or whatever those types of statements are, we might want to reflect, what can we infer from those statements? The language of illness and disorder and compliance. And have we chosen our language? Did we have access to information and knowledge, exposure to other people, learnings, views, not necessarily academic, be experiential, or a blend of the two? So when we arrive at our perspective, we want it to be really, well, having been explored and questioned, we trust it and we believe it, we're confident in it, and then we can use it as effectively as possible. So, are our perspectives explored? And the best way that we can lead with our views, because obviously perspective is something that we usually want to lead, whether it's in our own lives, in our family circles, or elsewhere. The best form of leadership is to lead yourself with confidence. Your self-leadership involves being inspired by yourself and leading yourself where you want to go, and that is called finding your north. Yeah, that's called finding your north. North could be behind you, to the side, depending on where you are and where you spun to. We're all finding our north, and we can all lead ourselves in whatever path our north is and wherever that takes us. So I would like to invite everybody, consider all of your perspectives, consider your peers' perspectives, organizational perspectives, historical perspectives, and explore the ones that you naturally don't feel too aligned with, because that's inclusive, and opening those dialogues is really, really important, because that's how we connect, and that's how progressivism actually moves. So let's lead ourselves in our own lives, in our views, and be confident and trust that.